The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, more like The Terrible Story of Henry Salt, because the story isn't all that good. Okay, I'll jump off a bridge now. Welcome back. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar 2023 is a film directed by the infamous Wes Anderson, and it is the latest installment in his color book of a filmography. The story follows a 41-year-old rich man named Henry Sugar, who is very lonely but very rich for selfish reasons because he doesn't like to spend money on other people, who takes on the nearly impossible challenge of learning to see with his eyes closed in order to win more money at gambling, because why not? In the story, Harry learns how to see with his eyes closed through a book, which is ironic because the film is based on a book and is also narrated like one, although it's shot like a play. More on that in a little bit though. In all honesty, the film is just decent? No. Now bear with me before you click off. I know I did the little thing at the beginning. I mostly did that for the joke, although it is true just a little bit though, just a little bit. The film is decent. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And it sounds harsh, but before I get into it, let me butter you up. Let me talk some nice about the film. Sorry about that. My little Harold Sugar over there kind of disappeared for a second. I wanted to make sure he was still here with us, so I brought him back. Like all Wes Anderson films, the film is beautiful. Obviously, he is a master of composition and color and contrast, and he knows what he's doing in that regard. And it follows the very atomic early mid 1900s European summer art deco film style that he tends to have with a lot of his movies. And of course, like his other work, it's also quippy, it's fast, it's catchy, it's very beat driven. He knows rhythm in his movies, and it's all perfectly timed. Now, like all of his other films, it's a good film. I'm gonna say this now. Mr. Azúcar is not a bad movie, but I do have nitpicks which I think mostly pertain to my own pleasure of Wes Anderson films as a whole. But this could also vary from person to person. First, let me preface: I love Wes Anderson films. His filmography is amazing. So far, it makes it seem like I don't. It makes it seem like I'm just gonna rip into this film. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. This is absolute garbage. Well, that's not gonna happen because I don't think this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And if it was, well, the standards are really high for what is bad. Like a lot of people do nowadays, my friends and I, we joke around with Wes Anderson. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, on the Usual Rejects podcast, which by the way is the sponsor of today's video. If you guys don't know what the Usual Rejects podcast is, it is a show where myself, AAPS Entertainment, Dr. Thick, us three, we talk about film and TV news every single week, and it's everything you want in a podcast. It's horny, it's sexy, it's adorable. What more do you want from a podcast? Go and subscribe. Go listen, go watch. There will be a link in the description for the channel, and it's also on my About page, so yeah, go check it out. That was not a shameless plug because we're not making money off of either account, so it's all good. But thank you so much. I love you for doing that. We joke around with him from time to time, and that's not to say we don't dislike him. We just, it's all in fun. It's all in the name of self-awareness and stuff like that. Obviously, Wes Anderson has been doing this style for a long time. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, he can sit here all day and claim he doesn't have an aesthetic, but at the end of the day, he does have an aesthetic. It's obvious. You know a Wes Anderson film when you see one. And because of that, I think that this film is just a little bit stale. Especially considering that Asteroid City had only come out a couple months ago, it does feel a bit repetitive. Harold Sugar just kind of feels like a rehash of his already existing work, and it doesn't do enough different to differentiate itself from his other work. Now, alone, I think that the film works. It's short, only being 40 minutes long. It's quippy, it's fast, and it's visually pleasing, right? Stuff we've already established here. But binging Wes Anderson films is very repetitive. Trying to watch them all in a go or in a set amount of time does kind of feel like, okay, now we're just doing this over and over again. And honestly, in the last couple of years, I think the film that has really departed the most from his signature style was The French Dispatch. And I like that film quite a bit. I think it took his style, but twisted it, did something different, but it still felt like him all at the same time. And then when Asteroid City came out, I thought it was good. I don't think it was great, but it was good in my opinion. Now that Horny Sugar has come out, it just feels okay to good. Now that doesn't make it a bad film, but in comparison to what I've seen before with his work, it's not, the top of the list or anything like that. Another nitpick I do have, and this is definitely a me problem. So if you really don't like nitpicks, and I say nitpicks, but obviously these are, complaints, nitpicks. What, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. Is the runtime. We live in a world where attention spans have definitely diminished. Stuff like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts have made it so that people are constantly being fed like 20 things at the same time. I'm not a fan of that. I like my attention span. I like sometimes. Obviously, I don't sit there and watch like 5-hour long movies every day, but I also like to take time with stuff. Slow storytelling is still good because then it makes it feel even more worth it when you get to something that you're like, whoa, I waited a long time for that. And this film is 40 minutes long and it feels fast. It's very fast. There probably isn't 5 seconds without some kind of dialogue in screen. And a lot of people won't mind this, but for me, I think it was a little bit too much for my brain at times. I'd have to pause and just think about what I was watching and go, okay, this is a story up to this point. And like I said, that's mostly a me thing, but I think it is something to point out. This film definitely could have benefited from an extra maybe 10, 15, 20, pushing it though, minutes maximum. And it still would have been pretty short because then you're still keeping it about an hour length, which for most movies nowadays, that's still pretty short. Also, one final thing I do want to say about this film in terms of complaints is the emphasis on the character of Hooper Sugar. Several times throughout the film, they make it a note that he's a real person and that they don't want to disclose his name because he was able to see with his eyes closed, things like that. And then after I watched the film, I was like, wait, like, who is this guy? I had to look him up. And he's not a real person. It's just a fictional story. From what I loosely saw, it's not a real story. It's kind of a shame because they made that a big point. Not a big point, but they kept bringing it up in the film. And I thought, like, that was cool that this guy learned to see with his eyes closed, make a bunch of money. All in all, The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar is a decent little movie. It's not perfect. It's not bad. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. I think it's good though. It's decent. Like I said, as with most of Anderson's film, as we've kept saying here, is that it's fast, it's quippy, it's visually very nice to look at, great composition, it's shot like a play, and I think it's stuff that people are gonna like. And it's only 40 minutes long, so I may not have had the best time with it, but that doesn't mean I disliked it. Like I said, it was a decent film for me, and so I still enjoyed it. Still, I watched it. I don't know if I'll think about it within the next 10 years, but hey, I watched it. I don't regret it. And because of that, I think that's why you should go check it out. Form your own opinion. Of course, you're sitting here, listening to me talk about this film, but I think you guys also should go watch it. And of course, after you watch it, you should come back and let me know what you think in the comments. If you guys have been looking at the last couple videos, you'll notice that we got some crazy discussions going on in the comments, especially that Transformers video. Boy, there's a lot of heat there, but I love it. It's good. It's good discourse. It's good communication. Except the Gran Turismo video where nobody commented. Guys, what's happening? You slipping on me? Nobody watched the film? Oh well, maybe it was just me. It was just me who watched Gran Turismo. That's fine. But yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the film. What do you guys think of it? Let me know. Let me know down in the comments. And of course, as per usual, thank you, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch me talk about a white substance that is probably bad for you. Sugar, that is. Yeah, and until next time, see you, Space Cowboys. There's my thumbs up.